in scoring. But he is one of the leaders that I can look at over my career, and you may not ever know how Dirk leads, but he, number one, leads with his personality, he leads with his smile, he leads with how he treats his teammates, and he leads with his work ethic, because he's not a boisterous person. He's not a person that's gonna do things just to be fake, but over 90% of the time, he's leading. LeBron James is the same type of leader as that. He's not going to always do what you want him to do as a leader. And I know this firsthand. No, I'm not, no, as far as the media or the fan, he may not do everything that you want him to do as a leader, but behind the scenes, he is a leader by how he approaches the game of basketball, how he prepares,
sure,
and how he engages his teammates throughout the season. There's leadership in that. It's not always just, you have to sit next to the coach, you have to be engaged in every huddle. That's not all that leadership is encompassed by.
So Dahntay,
and sometimes it's different. That's what I'm saying, it's different. I know him to be a leader. I have experience with him being a leader on our teams, because he sets the tone on a daily basis of being the guy you can count to in those moments.
So is it as simple as I've never seen this before, I am actually being coached by a guy who got drafted the same year as I did, and he got drafted after me, but now I have to listen to everything he says. Is it just that simple for LeBron this year?
It could be in some respect. I do not know. I don't have that perspective. And for me to guess, it would be wrong. However, I see how that could be
impossible to respect.
I could be tough.
But
are we there?
No, because
Why?
LeBron's issues with coaches go back long before Luke Walton. And there were issues in Cleveland. There were issues in Miami that had to be tamped down. And so again, I get, and this is a yes or no at this point, because I don't want another long soliloquy. Does having great talent undermine leadership? Is that any part of LeBron's problem or Big Ben's? Yes or no?
Having great talent undermines leadership.
Yeah, does it?
No.
Okay.
No, but you take into
because
consideration with coaches, and you say, there's coaching turnover for a reason. There hasn't been a coach except Pop that's been in his position over my tenure of 14 years in the NBA, because you have to find the right coach for the personnel at all points in times to lead and engage people.
Kobe,
you can't just say,
MJ, both listen to Phil Jackson, even though they had hiccups.
But it was Phil Jackson.
But it was Phil Jackson.
And so did Kobe win without Phil Jackson? Did MJ win without Phil Jackson? No, you picked the right person.
But again,
that's great talent.
I'm not even sure if Michael Jordan was a great leader. Great winner. I'm not sure he was a great leader. I think Phil Jackson, and the same with Kobe, I'm not sure he's a great leader, great winner. And therefore, they allowed Phil Jackson, whomever, to coach them and be the leader of those teams.
About that example you set, when you're first in gassers, when it is meaningless
Got
for
it,
everyone
but
else.
there's more to leadership. And again, when you start talking about what Isaiah Thomas and partnering with a coach, the way he did with Chuck
Davis. They had to,
again,
too.
I get it.
They found the right coach for Isaiah Thomas.
A Hall of Fame coach.
Right. But again, LeBron's been in this league for 15, 16 years. We can't find this magical coach for him. And I get that everybody loves LeBron and everybody has to make sure they're good with LeBron. But again, he has a leadership issue no different than Big Ben.
What is that?
There's a reason why, based off of their problems coach to coach to coach. There were problems with LeBron and Spoelstra. Everybody knows it. We reported on it as journalists. I followed that. But his issues in Cleveland.
They made it work. He had a coach that he went to 3 straight finals and won a championship with.
You made a point early in your deal about as close to perfection as we've seen in the NBA, and I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Well, I could go production.
Why wouldn't we say
in terms of ambassadorship?
More perfect than Bill Russell, than Michael Jordan, than Magic Johnson?
Oh yeah, he has never beat up a teammate. Oh yeah, I mean, you want to go to indiscretion? I mean,
that's leadership.
That's leadership. You beat up your squad.
I got to knock somebody out to make
it too.
Marcellus, you played football.
Yeah.
And we're going to discount some people because they got in a fight with a teammate and punched a teammate, and therefore that's some
culturally
kind of stain
is different in
them.
Football. First of all, our intent
No, not in competition. In basketball, you think there has never been fights?
No, I'm talking about your
teammates?
teammate. I'm talking about
among your teammates.
I'm talking about amongst your teammate in that culture. That's going to be looked at differently than it is in football.
I don't remotely consider that a knock on Michael Jordan. He's a competitor. Competitors lose.
Respect to that. But I've noticed something in commonality with all the top 10 players in the NBA over history, whether it's Kareem, Magic, Bird, Bill Russell, who you want to throw in there. We obviously Kobe, LeBron, Magic, great coaches. Like I can't even point to one as like that coach was suspect, but that player was amazing.
They allow themselves to be coached.
And LeBron got this greatness without him.
And those coaches, again, those coaches were empowered to actually coach the team. I'm telling you what, if you have a back door, you can circumvent your coach's authority. I don't care what organization you're a part of, you're not going to win.
And why doesn't Magic get the rap when he got a coach fired? Why you not? I mean, we weren't on the air then.
Why doesn't Kobe get the rap? Mike D'Antoni,
exactly.
What's the name?
Why LeBron getting it?
I just stated, Kobe wasn't a great leader.
I think
he was a great
Magic
winner. And again, but you were questioning my perspective.
I got you.
And I'm giving you my perspective.
I just want to know about Magic. Magic was a great leader.
Again, and as you stated, we weren't on the air during Magic's career. I had no time to discuss that. Yeah. Magic Johnson's my favorite player of all time. I would criticize Magic Johnson. There's nobody that I'm a fan of that I will not criticize.
I respect that.
So this whole thing about perfection, I don't get where people are coming from. I don't know any perfect people. I don't know any perfect
I said close.
And again, in terms
perfect as any other NBA player.
This guy was blessed with the most talent to me, other than Wilt Chamberlain in basketball history. He's not going to finish with the most accomplishments. And part of the reason is he has never allowed himself to be coached. He's never partnered with a coach. Who knows if any of those guys in Cleveland, Mike Brown may have been a great coach if he's allowed to coach you.
Coach of the year. Listen, when you, again, and I'll go from an organizational standpoint, because I look at it, this is the way I look at it. From an organizational standpoint, when you're building a team, whether it's football, basketball, whatever, you have a vision, right? You see that team from 20,000 feet, and you're looking at how we're going to build this and how we're going to sustain this model of excellence. When you're a player, field level, and you're saying, how am I going to take care of mine, right? How am I going to get mine? And when you start empowering guys, well, the Pittsburgh Steelers let Ben Roethlisberger rip players on air on his radio show, and they don't hold him accountable for that? Shame on you as an organization. That's a you thing.
And getting their friends hired as their coach instead, and letting another coach that's capable to get out.
Getting their friends hired in organization.
But you know what?
This is what the talented do.
But no, see, that's why I disagree. The disdain for those who win the genetic lottery, y'all need to understand it's a mom, dad, and you issue. It is, because it seems like we expect that if you don't have the talents and the capabilities, guess what you do? You find another bucket to start to fill up, and that's intangibles. And guess what? There are guys who have balanced the equation. And LeBron James has done it as well as anybody else has done it in the game. You can point to these moments right now when he's being coached by a guy who got drafted after him, and I'm like, I'm not going to go too hard on that.
Marcellus, I was pointing to these moments when he was in Miami and winning championships.
That he didn't have leadership qualities? When he allowed Dwayne Wade to have the keys, when he knew I could take them from you, even in your own hometown.
There was a whole long narrative. There were things that happened along the way before he and Dwayne
taking
Wade
an underman team to the finals by yourself, basically, not leadership?
If Pop is the best coach in basketball, right, you know, they find players to adjust to Pop. Like, they don't just go get the best talent.
Right.
It's a culture issue. They have to fit into the San Antonio culture. And then they bring it in for Pop. But then sometimes the organization has to hire the right guy. You're taking the onus off the organization, and the best player has to bow down and just have to do whatever anybody says you put in that slot. No. And the Lakers found the right guy. They went and got the best on the market in Phil Jackson, paired him with Kobe, and Kobe didn't win a championship without Phil. And there've been many in between the Phil Jackson era and after, and it just hasn't worked because there are some coaches who are special. You have to find the special ones to be able to win and to partner with the star.
To someone drafted after him, or the video technician and Eric Spoelstra, respect. Like you the video tech and you now coaching the greatest player?
Here's a copy of my monologue. Is there anywhere in here where I said, LeBron bow down to Luke Walton?
No, but
that's not part of my argument.
Right, but why?
That's not part of my argument. My argument is LeBron's talents, like a lot of talented people, makes him difficult to coach. Just like Ben Roethlisberger, their talent gives them so much leverage within an organization, it's hard on a coach. And that's why LeBron is probably going to retire with 3 championships rather than 6.
Well, you want to read my monologue that I didn't write? Here we go. What about the sorry player, and we've been there before, who's a malcontent, because he ain't that damn good. And you know what? He goes without notice, He goes without notice, bringing drama. And then guess what? He's gone. There is not a talent conversation of why he's a malcontent or hard to lead. It's just the simple fact that some guys are born leaders, some guys are put into leadership positions and they succeed in it. I would not look at LeBron and say he's been a failure as a leader based on his talent, based on any criteria. But hey, you think different.
That is accurate. And I would say that
there's some sorry bad leaders out there. I'm like, well,
there are.
We talking about
there are others that, again, my point was, when you don't have talent, leadership is born out of necessity sometimes. If you're a little short on talent, you lean into other things.
But what
again, I get that y'all hear this as some kind of hyper criticism of LeBron. It's just an analysis of a hyper-talented athlete who's struggling a bit. And again, you can have a conversation. Well, why is he struggling?
Right.
Why is it organization to organization?
At its core,
you hear anything that's negative about LeBron, oh my God, Jesus has been attacked.
No, it's core. It's always a struggle regardless.
I think it's at its core. I think you're right. Super talented people are given more leeway,
they
right?
Can skip steps.
Right, exactly. But again, I continue to hold organizations accountable for saying you let that happen.
Right.
We'll take LeBron off the cross.